Yeah, this is a blockbuster that could shake the foundations of criminal prosecutions, not only in New Jersey, but potentially in districts around the country.
Have you ever seen judges this fed up? For years, Donald Trump has managed to bend, twist, and delay the legal system to his advantage. But now the patience of America's courts has finally snapped. Judges are dropping bombshell rulings, exposing schemes that were never meant to survive real scrutiny. This isn't just another case. It's the moment where the walls of justice begin to close in. The question is, can Trump survive when the very system he tried to game has turned against him? Let's find out. It started with a tone rarely heard from the bench: pure exasperation. Judges who had long tolerated delay tactics and political theater suddenly had enough. Their words weren't just rulings, they were warnings. The scheme at the center of these cases wasn't just flawed, it was insulting to the institution of law. This wasn't about politics anymore, it was about preserving the dignity of the courts. And when judges finally decided to strike back, they did it with a force that rattled Trump's legal defense and left his allies scrambling for answers.
Look at that smile. Alina Habba has just been disqualified by Chief Judge Matthew Brand of the Middle District of Pennsylvania, sitting by designation in New Jersey. She is no longer, according to Judge Brand, and that matters, she is no longer the acting interim U.S. Attorney, Special Attorney, acting as the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, because he just disqualified her in response to a motion brought by two criminal defendants in a drug case who said, who is this person? She wasn't confirmed by the Senate. She wasn't appointed on an extended term by all the judges of New Jersey federal court. Who is she, masquerading as the U.S. Attorney? Why can she indict me? How can she indict me? How can she prosecute me? Why is she in the courtroom? All very good questions. And Matthew, and then Judge Brand, who was appointed by the Third Circuit chief judge after all 21 judges of New Jersey voted against Alina Habba and extending her 120-day term, he had no choice but to throw it outside to the Middle District of Pennsylvania. This guy pulled the short straw, but boy, did he come through with a 77-page decision. Donald Trump's all worried. It's going to be a constitutional crisis created by these judges. No, it's a constitutional crisis created by you, Donald Trump, because you keep trying to circumvent checks and balance and the confirmation, the sacred confirmation process that only the Senate can give you. And you're trying to shove down our throat all of these unqualified political hacks to undermine the rule of law and sully the name of the Department of Justice. I mean, that's already in the shitter with Pam Bondi being the head of the Department of Justice. But finally, a judge stood up and said, enough, no.
At the heart of this judicial storm lies a scheme designed to delay, confuse, and mislead. Trump's legal team played a game of misdirection. Appeals filed not to win, but to buy time, filings so frivolous that judges compared them to political stunts rather than legal arguments. It was a strategy built on exhausting the system rather than proving innocence. But schemes like these only work when the referees stay silent. This time, they didn't. Judges not only exposed the tactics, but labeled them for what they were: an abuse of the judicial process itself.
So Donald Trump's administration, in order to evade a time limit, there's a time limit for how long his temporary acting people can be in office. To avoid that with the U.S. attorneys, he has been appointing them or having the Department of Justice having Pam Bondi appoint them essentially special counsel within the office, and then elevating them through sort of the career ranks into this position. Well, in New Jersey, it worked a little bit differently, because in New Jersey, when her time came up, Donald Trump wanted her to stay, but the judges, as you say, in New Jersey said, no, you are no longer the acting U.S. attorney. We are selecting a different person. We are selecting the career first assistant U.S. attorney and making her the acting U.S. attorney. Well, what Pam Bondi did was then fire this person and then use this maneuver to try to push Alina Habba up through this special counsel position to be the acting U.S. attorney. Well, a federal judge in New Jersey said, nope, you can't do that. It doesn't work. Alina Habba is out. Now, why is this such a big deal?
What made this moment different wasn't just the exposure of the scheme, it was the fury behind the words. Judges openly questioned the integrity of Trump's legal maneuvers, some even accusing his team of trying to erode trust in the justice system itself.
Alina Habba was originally nominated by Donald Trump to be the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. We can all agree to that. Alina Habba was not confirmed by the United States Senate because she never got into the confirmation process because the two Democratic senators from New Jersey, Kim and Cory Booker, did not give their blue slip approval of her. Okay. So Donald Trump's on the clock with 120 days. He knows Alina Habba's not going to get in. And what the statutes and the Constitution says about that is that if this person can't get in, you got to go back to the well and pick another nominee. And so that we have a U.S. attorney in the interim, the judges of the district pick who the U.S. attorney is going to be in the interim until the president gets around to getting a nominee successfully through the confirmation process. It's quite simple. President gets one pick at a time. If that pick fails, doesn't get nominated, and the judges of that circuit or that district don't extend the time beyond the 120-day clock, then there's a vacancy which can only be filled by judges while the president goes back to the drawing board, appoints somebody new, confirmation process, and we're up and running. That's how it works. And if your nominee is good enough and honorable enough and not a complete DB, as we like to say around town, like Alina Habba, where she spent her time trying out for the job. Hey, everybody, I want to be the U.S. attorney. Let me turn the blue state of New Jersey red. How about that? I'm going to go after the governor. I'm going to open a criminal probe of the governor, which she never did. I'm going to open a criminal probe of the Attorney General of New Jersey, Matt Blattken, which she never did. I'm going to go after the mayor of Newark, Mayor Baraka, a rival of Donald Trump, which she did. I'm going to go after a representative, a congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, which she did. You won't make me the U.S. attorney? Why not?
The rulings came down like a thunder, filled with unusually sharp rebukes. This wasn't quite a disapproval, it was an open declaration that enough was enough. For Trump, it meant the playbook he had relied on for years. Delay, deny, and distract was suddenly closing before his eyes, slammed shut by the very system he tried to game. The immediate consequence was devastating for Trump's legal strategy. Motions were denied, appeals were cut short, and worse, some judges signaling they might consider sanctions for wasting the court's time. That kind of rebuke doesn't just sting, it carries weight.
Now, why is this such a big deal? For two reasons. Number one, there are a number of people who have been indicted under the theory that Alina Habba is the U.S. attorney, right? Her name has been on pleadings. Her name had been on motions. Her name had been opposing bail applications, right? She's been acting, not acting in the legal sense, but acting in the the kind of thing you guys do out in Hollywood there.
Cosplaying?
As if she is the U.S. attorney.
Yeah.
And she's not. So that casts doubt on whether any of that action is legal.
Yeah.
Or whether all of that now has to be undone, whether all of that is null and void. And what does that do for the administration of the criminal justice system in New Jersey? But here's the thing, Brian, this maneuver, this sleight of hand that they've tried to pull off, it's not only in New Jersey. They've been trying to pull this sleight of hand off in other places around the country where they're trying to get this done. So yes, this case, I know you're going to ask because you always ask me about precedent. Yes, this case only involves Alina Habba in the District of New Jersey. It's not a court of appeals. It's not the Supreme Court. This case is going to rock it up, and we're going to see what happens there. But certainly it roadmaps for criminal defendants, because this case was brought by a criminal defendant who says, hey, I was told I've been charged by this woman. This woman's not even anyone. She's just like
Right.
a private citizen. She can't charge me. Well, this is going to open up that avenue of attack other places in the country. So this is an enormous deal that everyone needs to be paying attention to.
It means Trump's team could face real penalties, both financially and strategically. The fallout also rippled outward, forcing other courts to view Trump's arguments with a far more skeptical eye. A strategy meant to delay everything suddenly accelerated his exposure. This moment isn't just about one courtroom. It's about the message it sends across the country. Judges, regardless of ideology, are showing that they will not be pawns in a political game.
This is actually a federal law that says that when there is a vacancy, because remember, she was appointed on an acting basis, but that could only last, I think it was 120 days.
Yeah.
And so at the end of it, now there's a vacancy, and the judges under this federal law can fill a vacancy where it exists for U.S. attorney by voting. And so the judges on the District Court of New Jersey that are part of whatever committee it is that chooses U.S. attorneys, they voted. And what's interesting is that in normal times, you know, you'd think, well, if there was a qualified acting U.S. attorney, for continuity's sake, they would just keep with that person.
Yeah.
But of course, Alina Habba is not a qualified person. Right. She was literally the general counsel to a parking garage company and then became Donald Trump's personal lawyer.
Yeah.
So like the judges were like, oh, come on. Like, this is who you want us to have, right? Like, how about we pick a career person, which is usually who in between administrations you have. Normally, if you're Donald Trump, you say, okay, I'm nominating Alina Habba to be the permanent U.S. attorney in New Jersey. But in the meantime, it'll fall to whatever the career senior person is as a caretaker. But Donald Trump didn't do that. He banked that he'd be able to pull this sleight of hand, and now it's been rejected, and he is in a world of hurt. I mean, they are in an absolute crisis right now in the Department of Justice. I promise you, I know very well how this all plays out. Right now, there are a lot of panicked lawyers, both in the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey, who don't know whether their indictments stand, and there are or whether their motions, you know, where that stands. And there are a bunch of panicked Republican appointees in Washington, D.C. trying to figure out what to do next.
Trump's team may still argue that everything is partisan, but when conservative and liberal judges alike express the same frustration, that narrative begins to collapse. What's unfolding is bigger than Trump. It's a battle over whether the courts can withstand unprecedented pressure. And with every sharp ruling, it becomes clearer that the judiciary is determined to defend its independence, no matter who stands accused. Do you think Trump's illegal tricks have finally run out? Are the judges exposing him or protecting democracy itself? Let us know in the comment section. How much longer can he dodge accountability?